My name is Dr. William Oda, and I am the National Chair of NSPN, and I'll be your MC this weekend. It is wonderful to introduce you. Another beautiful, warm, sunny day here in Southern California. It's not a little chilly at all, nothing like that. It feels like just yesterday that I started to explore the field of science policy. It was really amazing to participate in the California Council of Science and Technology Science Translator Showcase, the UC Center Sacramento STEM Solutions Competition, to participate as a member of the University of California Riverside Science to Policy chapter, and go on to become a part of NSPN. These experiences are what led me to where I am today, speaking to all of you, and having the opportunity to support the 12 superstars who make up NSPN's Leadership Council, who made all the programming that we have here today possible, alongside with the amazing members of UC Riverside Science to Policy chapter. Before I continue, there's one person who I have to thank, someone who I wouldn't be here without their help. Susan Hackwood, CCST's founder and my mentor, was absolutely instrumental to making all of what we do possible, and I want to thank her and recognize her. Thank you so much, Susan, for all you've done for the field of science policy. It has been a long time since our last in-person meeting at Madison, Wisconsin in 2019. I actually see a lot of the same faces that I met there for the first time here today, and I'm so thankful for all of your continued support of NSPN. All of what I've already shared makes it even more special for me to introduce you to Christopher Nelson, the President and CEO at the Association of Science and Technology Centers. Mr. Nelson joins 3 other esteemed advisory board members, including Robbie Barbara, Donna Reardon, and our very own UCR, S2P, and CCST founder, Susan Hackwood. As advisors, they shape the future of NSPN. Please join me in welcoming Chris Nelson to the stage.
Thank you so much, Will. The height difference between the two of us, I got to make sure that this works. Good morning, NSPN. This is fabulous to be here with you all. I am out here from Washington, D.C., and while you could have gotten some sunnier weather for me, I'm thrilled to be with you all, and I'm thrilled to be spending a week with you. It's a really exciting time for this network and this organization. I'm truly honored to be asked about a year ago to join the advisory board and to get to help you all in the work that you're trying to accomplish, the careers that you're shaping for yourselves. And I want to just invite you all to come up and say hi, introduce yourselves. I want to get to know you, as Will said, throughout the course of the next week or weekend. It's not a whole week. I've been traveling a lot. I don't know where I am right now. But because it's such an exciting time for the organization, I am really, really, really thrilled to get to introduce you to the person who's going to really lead this organization into its next phase. And who I get to introduce as the first executive director of this organization. Dr. Tepring Piquado, who's a neuroscientist, a policy director, a nonprofit leader. She's got 2 decades of experience that she brings into this work. And I want to really encourage you to go read her full bio, go read her full interview, but I want to just hit the highlights for you so you know what an incredible badass, we can say that, right? What an incredible badass you have at the helm of this organization. Tepring's career began with training in computer science at Georgetown University, followed by a master's degree and a PhD in neuroscience at Brandeis University. Her leadership in policy began as a fellow with the California Legislature's Council on Science and Technology. She really, really lived that organization's mission to provide scientific expertise to policymakers as she served as the chief policy director at the California Issues Forum and senior advisor for government affairs at Chamber of Progress. Most recently, she was at the RAND Corporation. Tepring served as senior policy researcher and professor at the Pardee RAND Graduate School. She taught on all of the things that we're going to be talking about here this weekend: ethics, policy design, policy and action. She published research on using digital tools to increase inclusivity in hiring for the public and private sector. She talked about how inclusivity and excellence go together in that public sector work. Really, really, really great work in expanding our collective knowledge and practical applications of how to do work that's so central that we all care about so much. Throughout her career, a real dedication to diversity, inclusion, and equity has been at the core of her career. She served as the inaugural chair for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at the RAND Corporation, and is a member of the Diversity and Inclusion Commission of the California Council on Science and Technology. She's really taken those practices and put them in action in many different organizations, and I know is going to take them and put them into action here at NSPN. Again, that is just scratching the surface of all of the awesome things that this woman brings to this organization, and why I am thrilled to introduce her and thrilled to get to work with her along with all of you to shape the pathway that this organization has to come. Please join me in a very warm welcome for Dr. Tepring Piquado.
Thank you, Chris, for that gracious introduction. You did forget to mention that I ran for public office, and I'm super honored to be next to someone that actually won. We'll get to that later. Thank you so much. It is my privilege and honor to be the first executive director for NSPN. Together, we're going to uphold the vision of our founders to unite and develop scientists to engage meaningfully and fully in the policy-making process. This mission is as crucial today as it ever was, especially as we face a more complex and challenging world. I'm thrilled to see you guys all here. Over the course of this weekend, we have over 300 registries. We have over 20 sessions. Seems like we were making bags for the speakers. There were 40 speakers, 2 keynotes, congressmen, people from UC, the University of California system. I just want to say that this is a spectacular group of people, and it actually starts with you in the audience today. So without you, we would not have a program, so thank you. Here we will share our diverse experiences and knowledge. Here we will deepen our understanding of science and policy. Here we seek to inspire and be inspired. Let's ignite new ideas, provoke thoughtful dialogue, and kindle a passion for science policy. We want to drive our knowledge, skills, and abilities forward so that we can succeed and thrive in our careers that ultimately create the change that's needed in our world. Finally, I'd like to reflect on a very fascinating aspect about bees. Queen bees were not born that way. They're actually nurtured by bathing in what you see on the screen called royal jelly, okay? It sets them apart from their other hive larvae. It's a royal jelly that's nutritious and excluding anything that's junk food, like honey and pollen. So think of the discussions and sessions that you'll be hearing today, this weekend, as your form of royal jelly. Nourish your potential to lead and influence science policy in whatever way you choose, whatever way suits you. But I encourage you to connect with people, to learn from the amazing mentors and speakers that we have gathered today, and immerse yourself in this unique occasion to become your own royal bee. So thank you so much for being here. I really am excited to meet all of you. I know I've spent some time at breakfast talking with the table over there from Columbia and Emory and Madison and Irvine. So thank you so much for being here. I look forward to engaging with you for the rest of the conference and symposium. And I turn the rein back to our great MC, Will. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Tepring for that warm welcome this morning. I'm so excited to introduce our next speaker and share a little bit about them, Congressman Mark Takano. Congressman Takano was born and raised here in Riverside, served as a teacher in the Rialto School District, and worked to improve higher education for young people and job training opportunities for adults here in Riverside. Congressman Takano continued to represent his community as the first openly gay person of color to be elected to Congress in 2012. He represents our community, the 39th District in the United States House of Representatives. And when I first met Congressman Takano as the chair of UC Riverside Science to Policy in 2019, I immediately could tell that he was truly a staunch supporter of this campus and the new Science to Policy program we had started. He hosted the very first UC Science to Policy Fellow, Derek Carter House, who worked to improve veteran access to healthcare, and has gone on to host 3 more fellows, and we cannot thank him enough for his work to grow what Science to Policy is here at UC Riverside. It is now my honor to welcome Congressman Mark Takano to the stage.
Well, good morning, everybody. I want to welcome all of you on behalf of the people of the 39th Congressional District. It's my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome you all to the Inland Empire. I share the stage today with a number of dedicated and thoughtful leaders, scientific leaders, who have endeavored to make today a reality. Theresa Maldonado, Vice President of Research and Innovation at the University of California's Office of the President. That's the Office of the President, y'all. It's the UC system. Rodolfo Torres, Vice Chancellor for Research and Economic Development, UC Riverside. Tepring Piquado, Executive Director of the National Science Policy Network. And you know, Susan Hackwood is not sitting up here, but she's in the audience there. But I remember Susan Hackwood back when Dr. Piquado, was running for Congress for the first and second time in the early 90s. So this is the third time was the charm. So it took me 3 times. So, you know, if you want to, whatever it was you're running for, you really want to do it, you got to stay persistent. And be the emblem, the emblematic, and she persisted, right? And, you know, I'm looking at this room and seeing like over half the people look to be of the female gender in science. And I think we owe Dr. Hackwood, you know, some of that pioneering credit for being an early leader in getting more women into science. And I think of my friend, the late Pam Clute, who was on this campus, and she used to tell the misogynistic stories of the ancient Greeks and just the way that we have, you know, taken diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we don't consider those dirty words here at University of California, Riverside. They're trying to even rebrand it because some of my colleagues have misguidingly tried to turn them into the enemy, when we know that diversity, equity, inclusion make us all stronger, and it's going to make science better. So let's give them all a hand, and all the organizers a hand. And onward to the National Science Policy Symposium. Now, many of you who have just arrived in the Inland Empire for the first time are surely beginning to experience the unique offerings of the region. We are really, truly blessed here with great natural beauty and amazing resources, rolling hills, sprawling orange groves. And by the way, the orange groves were the origin of this university. It began as an agricultural research. Citrus. Citrus was like a huge industry, made Riverside one of the most richest per capita communities in the nation, and that begat the scientific research on how to, support the industry. Amazing application of science to an existing industry. Our cities and towns are chock full of architecture. Go down to the Mission Inn if you haven't seen it yet, and our Spanish architecture downtown. Be sure to go to the Cheech Museum of Chicano art. And I don't know if it's going to be open this weekend, but at the Center for Social Justice at Riverside Community College, just down the street, is an amazing collection of the art of Mineo Kubo, who was one of the painters who painted during the internment experience. One of the first people to actually write a book about the internment of Japanese Americans. And her art that spans beyond that is at that museum, is at the Center for Social Justice. Our cities and towns are chock full of all of this architecture, art, and mouth-watering food. And we come from diverse backgrounds, but we are united in our desire to make this community and the world a better place. And I would know about that because I grew up here in Riverside in this swirling kaleidoscope of cultures and peoples. I am the son of a family of immigrants, and my family found its home here. And that sense of community, of place, is so important for any number of reasons, but it's particularly important for this year's symposium. The theme that you all have chosen is local to global innovation. That sounds so grand and sounds so weighty, but let's actually take apart what these words mean. To me, it touches upon a crucial truth that too often we are prone to talking about the major policy challenges facing our country and the world in a top-down approach. And this means that people feel disconnected from massive, abstract-sounding issues. And when they're disconnected, they're less motivated to make a difference. It gives rise to a feeling of maybe, being alone and loneliness and detachment. This symposium asks us to think about how we can do things differently, about how to use our natural affinity and the unique power of local communities to scale up to reach global issues. So let's take climate change. For many of us, it feels like a massive problem, a distant and far away challenge. But when we reframe it toward the immediate environmental concerns in front of us, say if you live in Idaho and dealing with wildfires, or if you're in North Carolina, the rising sea levels in North Carolina, we're starting to force ourselves to confront a macro problem at a very local and micro level. But by the same token, by empowering and drawing on the unique talents at the local level, we have the ability to scale up to reach global challenges. So it's especially important for those of us at the federal level to keep this in mind when we craft policy. Sometimes the political dynamics of Washington pull lawmakers and presidents in the wrong direction, to think big, but bloated and directionless as a result. In contrast, I'm proud that the Biden administration and many of my colleagues in Congress have taken the right approach by steering investments to the state and local level. At the state level, I'm very thrilled that the University of California-backed consortium called the Alliance for Renewable Clean Hydrogen Energy Systems, or the acronym is ARCHES, successfully won a grant from the Department of Energy that will steer up to $1.2 billion in federal funding toward 39 hydrogen infrastructure projects up and down the state of California. Now, can we pause for a second and recognize that? $1.2 billion toward clean hydrogen all across California. I remember when I was first a candidate trying to get the support of some of the folks around here in 1992, I came here to meet with the folks that were running the very new CCERT, and they were experimenting with a hydrogen vehicle. What would those scientists of yesteryear think about this $1.2 billion investment? And I just remember one of them saying, it's like the pittance that was being allocated back in that decade, we now are seeing I think, an investment commensurate with the promise of this technology. Overall, ARCHES will generate over 200,000 jobs and are projected to reduce carbon emissions by 2 million metric tons annually, which is the same as removing 445,000 gasoline-powered cars from the roads. Additionally, by replacing diesel engines that emit harmful exhaust with pollution-free fuel cells, Californians are expected to save nearly $3 billion in health care and associated costs each year. California benefits, but also so does the wider world. And where did that money come from? The president's bipartisan infrastructure law. Now, this is government working at the regional and local level to take on a global issue in a smart, thoughtful way. Take another of the president's signature achievements impacting our community, the CHIPS and Science Act. This landmark legislation, which has helped spur more than $166 billion in semiconductors and electronics, is having a direct impact on our region in the Lithium Valley Clean Tech Hub. UC Riverside worked with local governments, academic institutions, and others to successfully secure these dollars, which makes sense. And as some of you may know, lithium is poised to change much of this region. The Salton Sea, not a far drive from here, has suffered from severe ecological degradation because as the earth has warmed, that sea has also dried up. Now, eerie ghost towns that dot areas that used to be full of people are now full of toxic dust that pose a serious health issue to many of the people who live in the area around the lake. But amid this difficult situation, there's tremendous opportunity. One expert at the Department of Energy estimates that the lithium created by geothermal brines from the Salton Sea area has the potential to create 382 million electric vehicle batteries. Let me say that again, 382 million electric vehicle batteries. Talk about scaling local innovation to global reach. And to top it off, UCR's Palm Desert Center will be a crucial component of this research. But as my colleague, Congressman Raul Ruiz, has made, he's made the crucial point that at least some of the riches that are extracted from this new industry should go towards the people who've been hurt by the environmental dangers posed by the Salton Sea. This is an important challenge here for all of us, making sure that local communities benefit while they help combat global issues. Now, there's one final area where federal policymakers are making strides at this idea of empowering local communities. You may have heard, some of you, about the so-called earmarks of the federal government. This is where a lawmaker inserts a specific funding provision for a project into a broader spending bill. Unfortunately, while this was well-intentioned, the system had grown corrupt and bloated. You might have heard about the infamous bridge to nowhere. That system was entirely discarded for nearly a decade, and it meant for 10 years there were no earmarks, no congressionally directed spending, and it meant that communities lost much of their ability to work directly with Congress to address their needs. But after serious reform, a version of earmarks has returned. And now there's a competitive grant process where I and other members of Congress argue for important investments across the country. And these are ideas submitted by people here in the Inland Empire about how to make this community better. Now, my office can't come up with these ideas. Do you know where these ideas come from? They come from people at this university. And it's the university that submits these ideas to my office, and we go to bat for you. Now, here at UCR alone, we've pulled in millions to fund critical programs at the cutting edge. The UCR Inland Empire Quantum Initiative, the UCR Northside Regional Agricultural Innovation Center, the UCR Oasis Clean Technology Park, and more. This is government at its best, taking on global issues by empowering local communities and local scientists, which is what we're doing right here in the Inland Empire, especially at UCR. So thank you to UCR for putting on this excellent symposium, and to all of you for coming. I hope you will take this time to talk with each other, learn from your peers, and leave Riverside fully ready to take on the great global challenges that we all face together. And that you will go back to your own local communities with new knowledge and renewed passion. And by doing so, make the theme local to global innovation a reality. Thank you very much. Godspeed to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congressman Takano, for spending some time with us this morning. It was wonderful to hear your remarks about our symposium this weekend. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Theresa Maldonado, the University of California Vice President for Research and Innovation. Dr. Maldonado leads the California Climate Action Initiative, facilitates the UC and statewide response to the CHIPS Act opportunities, and she's working to revitalize UC's innovation transfer ecosystem. Dr. Maldonado is a champion of team science, welcoming collaborators historically excluded from participation, and harnessing the power of the UC system to produce transformative solutions via research, research translation, innovation, and very importantly, policy.
Thank you very much. Representative Takano's remarks are just so spot on. I was just jotting down notes. Welcome to this symposium. I'm so excited to be here. This event could not be more important than right now. I am an electrical engineer. I've worked in industry, I've worked in academia, and I've worked in government, federal government. I have been working with people outside of my discipline for over 30 years. Was that nonlinear pathway a plan? Absolutely not. As you meet us more seasoned people at this meeting, you will learn that all of us got out of our comfort zone. As my career progressed and my perspective became richer with each experience, I could see that people like us could have a finger on the pulse of policy innovation and analysis. When I became an assistant professor in 1990, this was back in Texas, I had the notion to ask the question, how many engineers and scientists are in Congress in aggregate? Back then, my representative was Joe Barton, and he studied industrial engineering at Texas A&M. So I started thinking about it. Nobody knew the answer, so after some phone calls, I learned that only 6 out of 535 people in Congress in 1990, scientists and engineers in aggregate, served in that body. So this morning, I did a quick search, and I found an article published in the Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineers in 2020, noted that there were 11 engineers in Congress out of 535. To be fair, there were 16 physicians. You see where I'm going with this. 214 are lawyers. That's okay, we love them. And more than half of the 535 members are career politicians. These are the people who are making important decisions for our country. So mapped on top of those statistics is the reality of our world. It's very complex, it's global in scale, yet we have unique local implications of what's happening, such as existential threats, excuse me, my allergies are really killing me, like climate change and global pandemics. And its rapid emergence of over 20 critical and emerging technologies, or CETs, such as artificial intelligence, permeate all corners of our society. There is a list of critical and emerging technologies, or the CETs, published by the White House, and the first list came out in 2022. The White House had to update this list just in February 2024. That's how quickly things are moving. They had to update the list to include clean energy generation and storage, quantum information and enabling technologies, and of course, semiconductors and microelectronics. Back in the 80s, I recall when the semiconductor industry was moving offshore, and now we're trying to embrace it back as part of our economy. So we are approaching policy innovation. I have to question, are we doing it appropriately, and are we doing it quickly enough? Socially engaged scientists like you are absolutely critical for our future, absolutely critical for our future. It's great to see so many early career scientists in the NSPN and at this conference. When I was in the engineering management at the National Science Foundation, I used to hire AAAS fellows routinely. Often they were not in engineering, but they were bold enough to come and work for me in engineering. One of them, her name is Dorothy Jones Davis. She was a neuroscientist, and she came to join and work with me when MOOCs, or massively open online courses, were really emerging on the scene, as well as makerspaces. And so she took a deep dive into those trends that were changing very rapidly. The NSF was not really up to speed in MOOCs and makerspaces. She quickly engaged the entire NSF. She organized workshops, she invited visitors from around the federal government, academia. She was a pistol. And neuroscientists working in engineering and laying a roadmap for NSF to explore how MOOCs and makerspaces could impact how we prepare scientists and engineers in the future. She's just awesome. And I had other AAA fellows who made equally great impacts. More recently, I worked with the Director of Precision Medicine in the Governor's Office, Julianne McCall, and I understand she's going to be here at the meeting. I don't know if she's here yet. Oh, my God. Hi, Julianne. Let me put on my eyeballs. So we got to know each other very well last year. She gave me a phone call, said, you want to work on an ARPA-H proposal? This woman is amazing. You need to go talk to her. She pulled together a national network, all 50 states, of over 200 partners within 1 month to go after an investor catalyst hub. We got a site visit by ARPA-H. It's a new federal agency. And we were very, very strong. We did not get the hub, but because of our networks, we were able to pull together an extraordinary team of people, including industry, Kaiser Permanente, startups, et cetera. And we got out of our comfort zone. We didn't sleep much, and I think we did something extraordinary, wouldn't you say? But the point I want to make is that Julianne had CCST fellows working for her and working on this hub activity, and they were just instrumental in making this happen. So I look forward to meeting many of you today. I fly out in the morning, so I'm hoping to maximize today. I look forward to learning more about you and your interests, and just know that if you have a game plan right now, I bet you it's going to change within 3 years. So don't get discouraged or anything, but I invite you to listen to all of us, listen to each other. I do more listening than I do talking. Imagine stepping out of your comfort zone, because you're going to do that a lot. Earning a PhD is really a process, and it prepares you to get out of your lane, really. So if you plan a career in neuroscience, like linearly, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. Policy, having you guys at the table, having you run for office, and keep trying. Timing is everything. Timing is everything, and your networks are going to get richer and richer. We're going to support her, and just imagine with each speaker you hear today and tomorrow what your life could be in the near term and how you can contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maldonado. We've already had such an amazing set of speakers. I can't imagine how great this next one will be as well. I am so glad to introduce an amazing supporter of science policy at UC Riverside to the stage. Dr. Rodolfo Torres is the Vice Chancellor of Research and Economic Development here at UC Riverside. Since I was a graduate student back when I was at UCR, he has been an integral part of the development of the Science to Policy program here on campus.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. So it's really my pleasure to welcome you to our campus. And I do that on behalf of our Chancellor, Kim Wilkos, too, who unfortunately he has some pre-scheduled other engagement, and otherwise he will be extremely happy to be here. As some of the previous speakers mentioned, particularly Congressman Takano, it's a beautiful campus, and this is one of my favorite time of the year. The hills look really green. I guess the people that call us here the Highlander arrive in this time of the year because other times don't look so green, but the wildflowers are blooming, and if you have a chance, I really encourage you to walk through campus to see not only all the construction and all the progress taking place, but also to smell the blossom of the oranges. It will really penetrate the area. You'll see what I'm talking about. And we're very lucky to be in this land, so I think it's very important that we start with our land acknowledgement, so I'm going to read it for you. We respectfully acknowledge and recognize our responsibility to the original and current caretaker of this land, water, and air, the Cahuigua, Tomba, Luiseño, and Serrano people, and all their ancestors and descendants, past, present, and future. Today, this meeting place is home of many indigenous people from all over the world, including UCR faculty, students, and staff. And we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work in these homelands. So this is a very special time for UCR too. As Vice Chancellor for Research, I cannot hide my pride when I look at all what the campus has accomplished in recent years. So just to mention a couple of things, we were invited last year to join the AAU, that's the Association of American Universities. That's the most prestigious group of universities in North America, made of 71 institutions. 2 of them are from Canada, the rest from the United States. You cannot apply to be a member of that. You get invited to be. And it has been an aspiration of all our campus. We have the metrics to be there for many years, but we wanted that recognition to showcase to the rest of the world all the level of excellence in research that is taking place at this campus. Recently, we also received an innovation and economic prosperity designation for another organization of university, that's APLU, the Association of Public and Land-Grant University. And next, something that really made all of us very, very proud is that since rankings for social mobility exist, and they're run by the US and News World Report, and this is only started 5 years ago, we have been ranked either number 1 or number 2 in that list among public universities. This doesn't happen very often, that a university that excels in research, as we do, also excel in social mobility. And so that's something that makes us very proud. And I think that's something that relates very well to the mission of and the aspiration of the Science to Policy program, a fantastic program that we have heard about already, and you will learn more about it, that trains students to be active and trusted members of the public policy community. We don't only train students to be scientists, but we also prepare them to navigate and engage in policy making as communicators, as legislative advisors, and as science advocates. More than ever, higher education needs the support of the public. More than ever, we need people like you to go out and communicate to the people that make decisions in government, as our Vice President for Research mentioned, to, in a way, educate them about what could be the possible solutions that cannot be achieved without science and technology. And this program also matches perfectly with another initiative on campus that is the centerpiece of much of what my office does right now, and it's called the Opportunity to Advance Sustainability, Innovation, and Social Inclusion, or OASIS, because we want to be an oasis in the desert. And it's an overarching umbrella that encompasses some infrastructure development, and Congressman Takano, who has been a great champion of this initiative, has supported many of those initiatives, but also programmatic activities. And we encompass this into several areas on which we have a lot of expertise. And these are agricultural, technology and food security, community health and health disparity, human development, natural resources management, renewable energy and fuel, and sustainable transportation and infrastructure. We will soon break ground very near here across the highway on the Southern California, we call it SoCal, Southern California Oasis Park, which will be located in proximity with the California Air Resource Board, or CAR, which is a 400 million zero-emission facility. It will serve as a hub for research, startup incubation, and collaboration with industry. CAR's presence, combined with our campus synergy, position Riverside as a potential global center for clean air and clean energy research, innovation, and also policy development. And it's already been paying off. I just want to showcase one example. This year, early this year, the city signed a contract with a company, it's called Omio, that's coming from New Zealand, which will have their global headquarters in Riverside and will manufacture here self-driven minibuses. So hopefully, the next time you are in town for an event like this, we'll have these buses driving you from downtown, driving by itself from downtown to our campus. We create a lot of innovation in the region, and we can also create a lot of jobs. So actually, more than 20,000 jobs are created in the region because of the presence of UCR. And we are developing an ecosystem of partnership and leveraging the university, industry, government, and community coordination to create better, high-paying jobs, and in particular, address problems that affect our most underserved population. So I can talk about many accomplishments we have done in all the areas I mentioned earlier, but I think it's important to emphasize today, and for reasons of time, I want to make this short, that for us it's very important to promote inclusion, equality, and social justice. We need to find solutions to climate change, air quality, water, immigration, renewable energy, and so on. And we have the talented faculty and students and staff that can work on this area. But we also need to find solutions that do not leave anybody behind. We won't solve this problem unless we solve it for all. And so we are facing a lot of challenges, but I'd like to think them about opportunity. The theme of your conference is from local to global, and I think this is a fantastic place to be at for that. We are facing challenges that are of national and global nature, and we have here the solutions, and we have here a way to explore solutions that can be scalable and then push back to other regions. So I want to conclude by saying that please take full advantage of this event. There are great speakers, their presentation, breakout sessions, exhibits, and so on. More importantly, I think, start building your network. The previous speaker mentioned this already. It's so important to meet people, to talk, don't be shy. Just introduce yourself, especially the student, and get to know others, and get to know what is going on, and you will find that you can contribute to that. In fact, I want to inspire me to think about bees. We are all in a hive, right? We are a member of the same colony. We all have a role to play. And none of us cannot contribute. I mean, we all contribute. We all have an opportunity. Don't think anything that you do is small. Everything has an important, and is needed for the common good. So I'm looking forward to the program. I have several other activities, so I will be coming in and in and out of the sessions, but I'm looking forward to meet many of you. I want to congratulate again the Science to Policy program for all what they have done over a year and for putting together this fantastic event. And again, I hope you have also a chance to have some good time and walk around campus. And I'm looking forward to get to know many of you. Thank you very much.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Réka Szemerkényi, a leading geopolitical expert in transatlantic security with over 20 years of experience in various public, private, and government roles. Dr. Szemerkényi served as the ambassador to the United States from 2015 to 2017 and 2 terms as the National Security Policy Advisor to the Prime Minister of Hungary. Ambassador Szemerkényi has several international awards and recognitions, such as the Order of Merit of the French Republic, the award Bene Merito donated to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland. She is the honorary university professor of the National Public University in Hungary and the honorary Doctor of Human Letters of Marymount University. Please welcome Ambassador Szemerkényi to the stage.
Thank you, William, for this wonderful introduction and for your honoring words. And thank you to NSPS, Colin, Jenna, William, for putting this wonderful event together and for honoring me with this invitation to be here and to speak with you today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to Dr. Susan Heckwood. What I have seen in this amazing period that we have been thinking together about this event and previously with your previous students, I can see how much you are an incredible inspiration and source of magic delight for all your students. So I really appreciate that. And also thank you to my dear friend Roberto Rivera, who is a big connector, who made us meet. So I'm absolutely pleased to be able to meet here old friends and make many new ones. Huge congratulations to the organizers of this symposium, because this is such an important topic, such an issue that is really in the heart of our success or failure for the next decades to come. So, as I was preparing for our event today, I realized that from among the many places where I'm invited to speak and where I meet wonderful people, most others are organized by think tanks or non-government or government organizations or businesses or research centers. This one, your invitation, was really hitting me in the middle of my heart because I realized it has such a special place for my priority list, for what I believe is important, because the most invaluable about your event is that this is thought up, done, organized, carried out by students. So I'm touched by the sanctity of this moment and of your lives, where you are at this moment. Because I think, I really wish from the bottom of my heart a huge success for every single person here and every individual project that you're working on. I think we need the success of all of those very badly for the future of humankind. And I'm looking at you and I can see that you're in a moment in life when you can take any of many directions. Any and all of which can be good. Some may be excellent. Some may be not so exciting, and some may later on have to be revisited, adjusted, or dropped later on. But among all these choices, at any given moment, ultimately, we always only have one to take. And I think that is really important. So I thought that the most important thought that I should center my message here around is what to give to you, so that in that moment of decision, which comes now, comes later on in life as well, there are many inflection points and many decision points that will come regularly, what can be the most helpful tools for you that can help you make those decisions? These inflection points come regularly, so I hope this is an important moment now, and we'll be able to go through these points together. Now, the lead organization team, a wonderful team here, really was preparing everything meticulously to the details. I'm super impressed by this. And it is a fantastic conference. Among these preparatory messages and moments, they provided me some very, very clear questions to follow in my discussion today. They clearly did not want to leave anything vague or uncertain, imprecise, and they clearly and certainly did not want to have a keynote speaker on the loose. So I better behave, okay? And I think I will try to follow as much as possible. But what I realized from the questions and discussions that I had from in written and then from our discussion online, I saw that questions are focusing on the 4 key foundations of decision making. So I will try to tackle those. The first one is personal characteristics. And it was, what personal characteristics help me in your career path in policy and diplomacy? And to tackle it quickly, I thought, wow, personal characteristic questions is something really kind of sensitive. I don't often speak about these. But what I would say is that, yes, there are 4 Ps that I like to underline. First is, which every literature, there's a vast literature, it says goals, identify your goals. And it's very important, rightly. It's a very important decision. But I would say focus on your purpose, the purpose of what you're working for, the purpose of what you want to bring out of the research project, of that particular institution, of that particular moment of life when you're in, because that is encompassing not just a goal. It has the goal in itself, of course, but then it has values, it has the desires, it has the action that you want to take out of this. So first P is purpose. The second is principles. I think principles, the values that we have committed to at a certain moment in life are very important. At the age of 17, I remember I made a list of myself of what kind of an adult I don't want to be. That was a good list. 15, 17 points, very, very clearly. Luckily, I have that paper. It's amazing with all the moves and everything that I had. Now you are in a much better position with all the whatever tricks we have to keep those points. But I think it's very important to state at an early, before we really start working full-time, at a very clear moment of life, what kind of an adult we want to be, what kind of a person we want to be, what we don't want to be, and hold on to them. Third, people. So, people. We have, again, vast literature on the importance of networking. Yes, certainly. Networking is the basis of so many things, and we get, so many out of it that it's invaluable, certainly. But I propose more. What I say is think of people. Think of the person who is there in front of you, because that person, be it the head of a research institute, a director, a program leader, a program assistant, whoever, is a person who has much more in himself or herself, and that is what creates a real network, because those relationships that you fund on the person that is in front of you will stay on. And I remember so many friends of mine who I met, when in and out of government, I always made a point to reach out to those who were just losing elections, because I thought that's a real hard moment, when you're kind of all of a sudden out of a position where you were very important. And those, meetings that I had 25 years ago with someone who lost the elections back then and what a big Miss Nobody at that time, or Mr. Nobody, they remain. And then they come back into government, believe it or not, or to positions where you meet up, and they are the most valuable friendships that I can have. So, people. And the last one is passion. And I think passion, not so much in how, not in how we do things, because I'm also very much in favor of, level-headed, yin and yang, so it's like very important to be balanced. Not how we do things. Passion is why we do things. And I think that's so important to keep that. So the first question, short answer, purpose, people, passion, principles. Question 2. It was about a very important question. What are the political problems compared to the technical problems in the green transition? And that highlighted to me an important focus on a concept. What are the problems that we are facing? Are they political, technical, and those are, obviously in front of our eyes? But I would say the third one is the most important there, the geostrategic, the longer, or the strategic element behind the problems. Because what we can see is that when we're developing reasonable solutions or trying to find answers, we have to tackle each of them separately. They can occur at the same time, they can coincide, but science is in a fantastic position to develop an answer to both the political challenges as well as the technological challenges, and they will be the right answers provided they understand and incorporate in it the strategic dimension of those decisions. So that brings me to my last point, diplomacy, and then the next last but one question that you had. Because these geopolitical, this is my field, geopolitical strategic issues, but what is important, I think, is behind all of these, like the green transition challenges, what we see is we have to understand there's a new political situation in which warfare is new. And so we cannot pretend that this is not important, especially now. Not only that we see the war in Ukraine in front of us, we see the situation in Gaza, just today's news, Iran and Israel. I think the hope that we had, up until 5 years ago probably, that the war is going towards a more peaceful, cooperative situation do not hold anymore. So we have to understand what is this new warfare that is in front of us. And this thus has, unfortunately, a very large element of traditional kinetic warfare. It has, secondly, also the element of hybrid, cybersecurity, energy security is used. It has a lot of economic element in nature, and also this what we call as a polycrisis, that multiple crises arise, which are dispersed in location, dispersed in type, but concentrated in time, which really can break the international system. So I think we have to have that third element, in addition to the political and technological challenges, to understand and really go forward, which is exactly why I think our discussion on diplomacy and science is so important now. Because the contribution to the discussion of scientists is what is a very, very important element in both the political discussions and the strategic discussions in shaping our future. We usually teach, what are the relations between science and diplomacy, and we say there is a kind of an approach of diplomacy for science, so things that through diplomatic tools, bilateral or multilateral international organizations, how we have to contribute for science to be able to cooperate, or scientists to be able to cooperate for science to flourish. That's very important. Another approach that we usually teach is when we use science for diplomacy, see science as a soft tool, and we say, okay, there are many occasions and tensions in which diplomacy cannot go forward, but there we have wonderful scientists who can reach out beyond the borders and bring forward a cooperation. Both of these are very important and very fundamental. But I think that third pillar, or third avenue, of having science in diplomacy or science in policy is the most important one, because that's the moment when you can impact the decisions before they are made. That's the moment when you can shape a thinking of where the direction is going to go, where the certain issues can lead to. So I think, what I would, highlight as probably the most important element to focus on for solving the challenges and the future problems is really to think of science and diplomacy as one, and think of your role as scientists, as diplomats of your own cause, as messengers of your issue, of your research results, and think of them as a responsibility that only you can bring to the table. No one else can. And you can see everybody else around the table having zero idea about it, okay? So it's totally clear that we need more scientists, and it's totally clear that we need more active scientists. So we need those who are engaging, who are open, who are active, who are going out there, who can be reached by the crazy others, and who can sort of be involved in the common thinking, not just as a recipient of decisions, but as shapers of decisions. And I think that's that's an invaluable contribution that we can do. That brings me to the last question that I had is, who to do it with. What do I think about the cooperation element, or international cooperation element the green transition was in particular, and the transatlantic green marketplace idea. I think, it's often underestimated or even misunderstood how important it is to work with partners, countries that are thinking alike about some fundamentals, not everything certainly, not culturally, not social, not whatever, but they think alike in fundamentals about democracy, freedom, equality in front of the law. And those are very important special partners for us. So I would say, the US-Europe strategy, for instance, for closing the critical minerals circularity loop. I think the initiative, which is called the Transatlantic Initiative on Sustainable Trade, this is a very important element to bring forward. Start with the Europeans, then establish the same kind of a cooperation with like-minded countries, Australia, Japan, South Korea. We have such a wonderful, huge and broad pool of countries with which we can establish very special, very concrete, very direct cooperation that will broaden and help our approach and will help us to succeed. Because sadly, I think this is so much missing. Because sadly, in many parts of the world, Americans are seen as insular. This I really hate to say, especially here. Because I think we have an amazing knowledge, pool of knowledge, an amazing access to fantastic technology, to possibilities that nobody else has in the world. So the last thing you would think of is that you're closed up, no way. But on the other hand, if you go around the world, what you see is many people who know a lot more about the US than you know about any of their countries. And I think that's a problem. That's an issue that we have to understand, that this is kind of an impediment. And this is an impediment to many cooperative efforts and to many good ideas and solutions to go forward. If the others, rightly or wrongly, I don't judge it, I just say as an observation, see as the insularity and the closed-up approach to the world of Americans. But who best could break this image than you? I mean, you are the most open-minded people, I think, in the world. It's amazing, what you have already achieved and what you have already established. So obviously, I think what is very important is to use this knowledge, use this experience that you have, and go out, reach out, establish cooperations, establish relationships, see the others as people. I've traveled so many places, and I love to speak with local people, and I hear so many things. I meet with many people who also travel a lot. I guess they can testify to the one thing we have never heard. I have never heard for sure, and I have never heard of anybody who has heard this. It's the one thing that if someone has traveled, that they would have said, I lost so much by traveling. I lost some knowledge, or I lost insight, or I lost network. I lost something by traveling. No way. Every single trip, every single meeting with another country is building, is contributing, not just to your understanding of, not just to your understanding of the world, but also to your being as a scientist. You gain more, you become a wiser, a better, a more profound, more insightful scientist in your own field as well. So, I think the cute reward is this, that you can establish relationships, scientific research, and by engaging diplomatic relationships with which you can shape the decision making, with which you can shape the political and strategic frameworks of your local situation to the national and even the global situation. So I think we're in a moment when if we understand how important it is to reach out, to be friends, and to build these relationships in science as scientists and contribute to the discussion globally is now. So thank you so much for the attention.
Thank you so much for that wonderful address. We have a little bit of time. We wanted to ask one question. So you shared so much about how scientists can be diplomats translating their work. Do you have any last bits of advice that you didn't cover in your keynote about where we can go as early career researchers moving forward in this field?
I think there's no place where you can go which would not be good. I think it's absolutely an important moment to find out what is most interesting to you, which I think is it's amazing is that we have this inner interest, this something that calls us for something. We don't really know what it is, but whatever it is, follow it, because it's usually something that will lead you to somewhere. And if not, you will find out, and then we can modify.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. It was wonderful to have you.